Hello, everybody, and welcome back to Command Point. My name's Ryan today. I am joined, of course, by Shane.
Hello.
Shane, vibes are off the chart right now for Kill Team. Am I
Yeah,
right?
it's crazy. I mean, there's just so much new stuff getting announced and so many tournaments going on. It's just wild.
Yeah. So, we've got a few different things that we want to cover today. Obviously, we're going to be talking about Operation Hivestorm and everything that we know on this date of August 18th about the new upcoming edition that will be making its way out sometime in October. They said in the reveal preview stream or whatever. Um, Shane, we also had a couple tournaments these past couple Saturdays that I wanted us to talk about a little bit. And
Yeah.
honestly, I think the stuff from those tournaments is still going to be relevant, even with a new edition on the horizon, because what it sounded like in that preview video was that not a whole lot about the game itself is really changing, at least in terms of like its core mechanics.
Yeah, it seems like they're doing kind of like what we wanted in our like wish list, and they're just sort of like congregating all of the new like all the like ways that people like theorize that they could refine the rules that exist. Like the easy one is like there's no shapes anymore, there's numbers, like little things like that.
Yeah.
Obviously that's a small one at this point, but I think that's like a sign of how they are intending to steer this edition from the sound of it.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, in the preview and in the Warhammer community article, they talk about one of the things they did with the rules for the new edition is just kind of, I guess, making everything clearer with Games Workshop rules writing. You know that I'll believe it when I see it, but I am hopeful. Um, yeah, so let's let's talk about the new stuff and everything at the end here, or at least after our kind of talk about these last two tournaments. So Shane, um, last Saturday, or actually not last Saturday, 2 Saturdays ago was the Salt City GT, uh, and you wound up winning, going 5-0, undefeated with the Felgarravagers, and then yesterday at a local tournament, you once again went undefeated 3-0 with Felgarravagers. And this is all after they had, some nerfs to them. Ceaseless was taken away from a couple of the models. So, yeah,
Relentless, yeah.
or Relentless,
They
excuse me.
yeah. No, I definitely think Felgor, so I played them at ACO and I liked them, and then they got nerfed, and it was like everybody sort of backed down a little bit on them and said like, well, they're not S tier anymore. They're A tier probably now. They're maybe a little more fair. A lot of Felgor players jumped off of them, and including myself initially, and I think that was where we had them at A tier in our last tier list post data slate.
Mm-hmm.
But I wanted to give them another spin just to see how they felt after the nerfs. And now that I've played them at two tournaments, I actually think that they feel exactly the same to me. um, Obviously, there are things that are worse about the team, like objective things. Like obviously, Relentless is better than Ceaseless, and 11 wins is better than 10 wins. But the core things in terms of like Frenzy and how that works, um, it's still very powerful, and it's hard for some teams to chew through it and to like overcome the kind of innate tempo advantages that Felgor Ravagers create if they're played properly. I do think that the nerfs sort of made it so that you can't brainlessly sort of just charge forward and just win games just through the like sheer weight of like
Mm-hmm.
frenzy and stuff. You have to be a little more careful about your positioning and setting up your first wave and having your second wave behind and ready to counterpunch and knowing when you should charge and fight and when you should charge and pass, or knowing, I think like there's a lot of layers in deployment too with this team. Like you have the ability to dash a bunch of guys up, but it's based on where the leader is and who do you want to dash up, and do you want to recon dash too, or do you want to set up an infiltrate, and there's a lot of choices to be made. But overall, I actually think that the nerfs kind of force you to play in a way that was probably always the best way to play. Now you're just more forced to do it, and
Gotcha.
that to me is like more of a defensive play style with them, where you're not just running forward, charge fighting every single activation. A lot of the time, you're actually charge passing because it creates this sort of um, tempo swing in your advantage. Because the other team, assuming it's on a marine, they're just going to fall back. They're either going to fall back from you, and that's their activation, or they're going to try to fight you. If they frenzy you, they're going to take damage in the process, and they might not even frenzy you because you have 10 wounds. And then next activation, like next time you activate that guy, you might just activate and kill that thing, or you'll have somebody else charge in and have combat support from the frenzied guy, and and then kill, and then the frenzied guy can go and do something too, and it's like you just sort of grind the other team down with Felgors. And I think with Salt City in particular, it was. I mean, you saw Ryan. It was kind of first of all, it was a Shark Tank. There was a lot of really, really good players there.
Yeah.
We had
I would
both.
know. I lost.
Yeah,
All three of my losses were to the guys who came in third, second, and first. So
yeah. I definitely. I had, and it was another noteworthy thing about it is that it was all open board. There was no Into the Dark at Salt City Open, which is
hmm
the first tournament in a long time like that I think that I can remember. Um, I don't know if I've been to a tournament that had no Into the Dark since pre Into the Dark. um, and I played against Brood Brothers twice. Both the Garrett brothers, very very good players, some of the best players in the United States easily. And both those games were on obviously open board and on loot, which is like the worst possible situation, like most trial by fire for Felgors that you can kind of orchestrate. And I was able to come out with wins, close wins, in both of those games. And so I think that Felgors are just still S tier, and I think we were just wrong in the last data slate video or tier list video after the data slate.
yeah,
They're like really powerful,
yeah.
and I don't
Turns
think much has changed.
turns out having a core mechanic where your models just don't die is still really really good and powerful. And that's got me thinking about a lot of other teams and their competitive viability where it's like their standout thing is they have something that just kind of like fundamentally breaks the game. So like I guess this kind of qualifies the Jaeger strategic ploy where they take half damage off of one of the hits that go through on them. What's the name of that strategic ploy?
It's oh god, Tough
Tough
Survivalists, I
survivalist.
think.
Yeah, like that ploy is crazy. But like I feel like Nemesis Claw I think is another team that's similar to that has like a game breaking like mechanic to it, with the prescience tokens and with like the Vox Scream. Not to say that they're as good as teams like Felgors or Brood Brothers, but you get what I'm saying. At those top tiers of teams, I think a prerequisite is you got to have something that just breaks the game.
Yeah, either that or you just need like a ridiculous amount of activations and like flexibility, which I think is what Brood Brothers sort of is. Like
hmm
they have 12 activations, they have like a ridiculous toolbox, they have a lot of lethality. And they don't have anything like frenzy that's game breaking, but they're just like so flexible and so oppressive. And I mean, oh man, it's weird because last year I played a lot of Legionaries, so I was running elites most of the year. And playing teams that have like 10 activations even, like being able to play games where I out activate my opponent, period. Oh, it's really good.
Yeah.
Um, it's I think it's the most I still think it's the most important thing in Kill Team when it comes to power level is activations. Like I think I weigh that more than anything else still. Um, and I I've really learned to I just want to shout crack grenades for a second, because obviously crack grenades, they've been in the game since day one. Nothing's really changed with them other than the amount that you're able to take. But crack grenades, I've had a lot of games now where, you know, one of my Felgors with the crack does like 8 damage or kill something on turn 1 with the crack grenade, just on the basis of I have more activations than you, so I can just wait and give him an APL and move dash him and throw a crack. And, you know, I have a 15-inch threat range, 16 if I pay a CP to get an extra inch of movement with them. And it just feels so unearned. Like, it feels so undeserved, and it's so hard to avoid. And, you know, I do it with Felgors, and it happens to me too. And every time I see crack grenades, it's like, man, it's the variance of it is so high. Like, it can kill a Marine, or it can whiff
Yeah.
completely.
Yeah.
And it's kind of unavoidable, especially if you have more activations. Like, the only way to avoid it is to stay really far back from that guy. And like, you're really limited in how far up the board you're able to go. Like, you can put him, like, your guy carrying a crack, you can put him near a comms specialist and put him within, you know, 17 inches of the nearest, like, the farthest objective within that range.
Yeah.
And if you have more activations, it's like
You can just wait
your
him out.
opponent just has to get hit by a crack grenade on turn 1. They don't have a choice.
Yep.
And it can either do nothing, it can whiff because it's 4 attacks on 3s, or it can one-shot that thing because it's 4/5 AP1.
Yeah. The upside is
And
so
yeah,
good with it. It's like that's why you see
I,
it taken so often.
I think it's one of the least interesting things that has like a really big impact, I think, on games is
Mm.
what each team's crack grenade carrier does.
Mm-hmm.
And if your team doesn't have a crack grenade, I think that's like a big negative, or at least not a crack grenade. If not a crack grenade, then like a equivalent, like a grenadier with some ridiculous gun, or some ridiculous bomb or something.
Mm-hmm.
It's just kind of obnoxious to play against and think about, and I don't know. Crack grenades are stupid. That's my rant on crack grenades over, I
Okay.
guess.
No, those are all valid points. Yeah. So, I mean, you played against. I want to talk about Brood Brothers a little bit now because you did play against both the Garrett brothers. You know, like you said, some of the best players in the U.S. Um, you played against both of them. What do you think of Brood Brothers as a team now? Because it's been a little bit now since the team has come out. I guess, what do you think let's take a temperature test on this team. Where do you think they sit in the meta still?
I still think they're the best team right now. I think there are just certain things about them that are a little bit unfair feeling, in terms of the way that they can threaten on turn 1, and like how they can cascade that into advantages later in the game. Um, eh, they're like I said, they have the crack grenade and that sapper bomb too.
Mm-hmm.
So obviously, and they're 12 activation teams, so they can always threaten you on turn 1 with that. But that's not totally irregular. What gets kind of crazy is that they have tactical plays that really enhance their threat projection in the early game. I'm talking specifically about 2 plays. There's Insidious, the one where you get a free dash, and you have to end and finish out of line of sight of enemies.
Mm-hmm.
Um, and this can really stretch their threat range out even more. Like, you can get a guy with 3 APL holding a crack or something, and you can have him Insidious dash to go 3 inches and then move 9 more inches, so you've gone 12, and then throw a crack 6 inches, and that's like 18-inch threat range of, like, and the board isn't that big. Like, if
Yeah.
you're on the long edge deployment, it's only 22 inches to work with. You can basically just hit the other deployment, kind of. Obviously, you don't need to do that. That's usually not advised, but you can hit those middle objectives, last activation, and then next turn, if you win initiative and there's somebody else within 6 of you, that same guy can just toss his other bomb that's unwieldy, and then it's like, what are you supposed to do? Like, I don't know. And then not only that, but they have um, the ruthless coordination, which
Yes.
is that guy with the crack. Say the last two guys left are that 3 APL guy with the crack and the like a plasma gunner. And the crack runs up and throws the crack grenade at somebody and kills them. And then he has visibility on another guy that's too far away from him to throw the crack at. But the plasma can see him and that other guy can see him. And now all of a sudden the plasma might have a shot that he didn't have. So like it's really hard. In both the games I played against Brew Brothers this weekend, and the other games I've played against them in the past since release, it feels like if they have more than one more activation than me, getting shot twice is like an inevitability on turn one. And that feels really bad because not only is it getting shot twice, but it's probably getting shot twice without any retaliation. Like, because like we said, they can just wait you out. So I
Yeah.
think it's their threat projection that is a little too beyond for me, and I think that needs to be scaled back. Um, but on the discussion of the leaders, because everybody was like debating which leaders are good, I think we've sort of seen this problem in the community where it's like nobody can have like a balanced take. Like there's no such thing as like a moderate opinion. Like there either has to be
I'm gonna
one
sorry,
of
I'm gonna interrupt you for a second here. One of the players at the tournament this past Saturday told told me that our channel is like the moderate take in the community.
well, that's good. I take that as a compliment.
I do too, yeah. But
So
yeah,
I guess
sorry.
here's my moderate take on Brew Brothers, because I've seen a lot of people like every week there's a person in some Discord saying, "Oh, the Magus is the best one, and the other ones are bad," or the Primus is the best one and the other ones are bad, or the Patriarch is an auto take every game, and you don't even need to take the other two, or like the Mages and Primus are awesome and the Patriarch is weak, and it's like maybe they're just all good. They can't like they can all be good. They don't have to be one of them doesn't have to be bad for the others to be good. And one of the things that makes this team so strong is that all three of them are really good.
Yeah.
And I don't understand that. Like you're allowed to like the Magus and the Primus without thinking the Patriarch is bad because the Patriarch is not bad. That's an insane take. And, I've seen it too on the other side where somebody's like, oh my God, the Patriarch looks so insane. Like, why would I ever take the Magus and the Primus? And it's like, play the team, explore the options, and you're going to figure out why you take the Magus or why you take the Primus. And there's
Mhm.
situations for everything. Um, so, yeah, I mean, that's the moderate take is that all the leaders are good. Um, I don't know if they all need to be nerfed or something. I do think that um, obviously I think those tactical plays are a little bit much, especially the ruthless coordination one. Like
Yeah.
that play reads to me like I've read a lot of other plays in the game where they just have so many meaningless restrictions that could be lifted, and ruthless coordination feels like there was like 6 opportunities in that paragraph to add like maybe one restriction and it just didn't get added. Like there's no restrictions at all. Like there's nothing about them being ready or non-ready or I don't know. It's a little much to me.
Yeah. Well, all right. I guess we can talk about the elephant in the room now, or I should say the Vespid stingling in the room. Uh, Hivestorm.
Yeah.
Hivestorm got previewed. Box set looks amazing. I especially liked all the terrain in it, but let's get down to what they talked about in the preview video and what we can kind of like inference from all of these photos that they show in the Warhammer community article. Shane, where do you want to start?
Oh my God. I don't even know where to start. First of all, those models, both the teams look awesome. They
Yeah.
look beautiful. It is confirmed that we have a new edition. It's not just a new season. I saw some people speculating that it's like, oh, we don't know it's a new edition. It's like, man, there's like a CGI trailer. Like,
Yeah. What
who
more
are
do
we
you need,
kidding?
bro?
Yeah. So to me, it was a little bit obvious, but no, I mean, the whole thing, the box, the terrain looks awesome. There's a new mission pack that we don't know a ton about. We know a little bit, but all of it really exciting. It sounds like I don't know what's going to happen with all the existing teams. I don't know if he said anything in the live stream about that, but it would be cool if they get like revamped or something. I mean, we'll have to wait and see because it sounds like some core rules are going to get changed a little bit, which means you'd have to change some stuff from the existing teams,
Hmm.
I'd imagine.
They said
But yeah.
that Elliot in the preview video said that all the teams are getting free rules available online at the start of the new edition. So I would assume with this being a new edition that we can expect some of the teams to be changed. I don't
Uh-huh.
see how. I mean, I could see like some teams just like not being changed at all. I could see others getting like totally reworked. Um, I don't know what teams. Yeah, I don't know. I have no idea. That's all just like pretty speculative at this point. But I forgot where I was going with this. So the new mission pack, we don't know much about it.
We know there's a kill op.
Yes, that's huge, actually. Let's talk about that, because that, I think, is going to fundamentally change a lot of things about this game. So you can kind of see it in the video preview. I don't have the timestamp for it, but they show like it's like a table or like a graph that corresponds to however many models you kill depending on the wound count or something. Let me see if I can
Yeah.
find the timestamp here.
I think it's the model count on the so and if I'm reading it right, you can get up to 5 points um from it. And it's like a third scoring condition now. Like I assume tech ops and primary will continue to exist, but now, and I think he said in the video they want to put the kill back in kill team,
Yeah,
which
I was
I love
very
that.
happy to hear. Yeah.
I think that's great.
Not that like killing already isn't an important part of this game, but it's like you sometimes the only well, most of the time your only scoring points from killing enemy models is through tac ops that have like certain conditions. Now just having something where you are just simply awarded for killing models is huge, and I think that's going to really impact some of our favorite team Shane's, namely elites. Am I right?
Yeah, I mean, especially because it sounds like there's still going to be secondaries. So I wonder if there's going to be like seek and destroy still. So you could have that and a kill up. I don't know,
A little bit of
but
double dipping maybe.
yeah,
That would
like you
be
could really lean into that way because obviously there's the joke. A lot of people say like, oh, it's objective team. And I get where that comes from because you have games that can be won on like loot where Vetguard wins initiative and they GA2 double loot and
yep.
then it's like the game feels over because you're it's such a big swing. Um, no, I really hope sincerely that this some of these things like widen the viability of certain teams.
Yeah.
That would be really cool.
Yeah, hopefully with a new edition, it'll be like the Wild West all over again, where we're like all kind of like scrambling and trying to work out like a whole new meta. Uh,
Yeah.
so I guess let's just go top to bottom of the contents in the new box. Obviously, there's the box itself. There's the two teams, which we don't know a lot about the models, but the Aquilon Precursor, they talk about it in the preview. The Precursor can do this thing where they can like strike twice in melee and then like fall back, which I thought sounded really cool.
Yeah.
Depending on how much damage they're actually able to do with like a combat knife. Maybe it's something crazy, like it has like lethal 5 or something like the scout combat knife is now. That would be nuts. There is a
Hmm.
grenadier on the team, which honestly inflicts a little bit of trauma, past trauma on me, because they're also talking about, oh, this team you divided into thirds, and you have to deploy 1/3 on the table, 2/3 can be set up above the battlefield, and then you can drop them in. So I'm like, oh, okay, so you can drop in this grenadier with that giant like melt-a-charge and just nuke something. Uh,
Yeah, it's giving first edition flashbacks a little
yeah,
bit.
yeah, yeah. Oh, good, another human Imperial Guard team with a crazy demo guy. Hopefully, it's like a 2 APL action or something. I don't know. Like, the
Yeah.
gunfighter looks cool with 2 pistols. Honestly, like
Yes.
if you have a character in any IP who has 2 pistols and a jetpack, uh, immediately is the coolest guy. You know, Django Fett, this gunfighter. Um, the Vespid Stingwings, they look cool.
Yeah, they talked a little about the gameplay for that team,
Mm-hmm.
and it sounds like there's like this pool of points that you use to like make them do what you want. But if you run out of the points, the Vespids apparently just start doing whatever they want, which is like
Oh, that's interesting.
kind of it's kind of cool because like they're like I think the idea is like you're the Tau controlling the Vespids. Um,
Oh, okay.
yeah, yeah, and the models are just sick. That
Oh,
one
that
thing
that
that's
must be what the oversight drone is, because you're overseeing these Vespids.
oh that makes I didn't even make that connection. Um, and one thing that stuck out to me about the models themselves that I'm curious about is those wings on some of those guys are really outstretched. They're
They
huge.
are.
And my first nightmare is like, oh my God, visibility is going to be easy to get on these guys. And but also like imagine tucking a bunch of them behind a single building in your drop zone and they're like you're trying not to make them bump into each other, right? Because like how do you fit a
Yeah.
guy next to a like base to base next to another Vespid with those giant wings?
So here's the thing. Maybe that's not going to be that big of an issue with this team because if both these teams have like flying, obviously going on here, I'm not sure if they mentioned the Vespids specifically, but maybe you can also set up 2/3 of your team off the board and bring them on when you need to.
Yeah,
You know,
maybe.
hopefully that's the case. Otherwise, deployment, like you said, and visibility might be a bit of a problem for you.
Yeah. I do think that the action shots of the models look really cool. Like the way that they're like there's the one guy with the flamer who looks like he's leaping off of a like a piece of debris.
Yeah,
There's the guy with the rail gun, which is sick. I don't know. This between I mean for me, I like the weirdo teams and this team is just like super cool looking to me.
yeah. I mean, I love the look of both teams. I want to play both of these teams. Uh,
Yeah, me too.
Something that I thought was really interesting that they mentioned about the team was that like their neurocrystal weapons or whatever get stronger from the vibrations of the Vespid's wings. So
Ooh,
it's like if you want your gun to be stronger, you do a move action, and that like powers up the gun.
that's so cool.
Yeah, so I'm like, don't I already want to be moving though? Like,
That's pretty good too. Like without knowing how different the game is going to be. Like I always hate when I see a team in any game, not just kill team, but in any game where like a team that has a bonus where it's like, oh, if they stand still, their shooting is better.
dude,
I hate
heavy,
that.
heavy.
It,
Anything with heavy, any of the dark lances in this edition, or like the whatever the Corsair,
unwieldy, yeah,
yeah, any of those weapons, I see them, and like this entire edition, I've just been like, I'm not interested. I'll
yeah,
just
and
take
like
whatever
there's
the
like some of
other
the
option is.
like one of the hunter clade ploys is like, oh, if your ranger stands still and shoots, then he gets a reroll, and it's like I would much rather have something like where I am rewarded for moving.
Yeah.
You know, it just feels more conducive to like winning.
Mm-hmm.
So I don't know. It's pretty cool though. It sounds fun.
Yeah. Uh, they also show in the Warhammer community article the terrain. So it says that there are 14 pieces of terrain that make up Killzone Vulcus, split between sprawling strongholds, bombed out ruins, and patches of heavy and light rubble. Shane, I know that you love Ruined City.
Oh, dude, I could play
And
Ruined
this,
City Kill Team
bro,
forever.
this map is Ruined City. Like,
Yeah,
this
it's
is,
kind of like my dream.
yeah, yeah. The terrain aesthetically looks awesome. I think competitively too, it looks pretty good. I'm seeing lots of square and L shapes. There's at least 3 layers of elevation. The floor, a second story, and then one of these buildings has a small like third story. So that could be pretty interesting. I don't know if like Super Conceal is going to be, or what is it called? What was the thing in Chelnath where it was like
Oh,
Super
punishing
Vantage,
vantage or
Punishing
something. Yeah.
Vantage? Yeah, not sure if that'll be a thing this edition. Um, but yeah, the terrain looks awesome. I'm probably gonna pick up like 2 of these boxes because I play big 40k, and these pieces look like they'll be sweet for that as well. Especially because
Yeah.
they're like square or L-shaped, and that's like what you
And
need for 40k.
if this is like the new edition starter box too, like we all know how easy it was to find a tons of tables of Octarius for years.
Yeah,
So, I mean, just looking at this, I'm happy if this is what we're playing on for most of the time. You know what I
yeah.
mean? Um, and obviously Octarius won't go away. Into the Dark, who knows? But Octarius probably won't go away. Like, so now we're gonna have a little bit more variety maybe in our boards.
Mm-hmm.
Um, the first thing that stuck out to me too, and this is maybe a segue here, is in some of the action shots, like the ladders and stuff.
I was
And then it
just about
turns
to bring
out,
those up. Yeah.
yeah, and it turns out that the ladders are like equipment, and that they're introducing like universal equipment. And there's like a sprue that they show that has like, maybe it's not a sprue, but it's like a graph or something, or a chart
Yeah,
that
there's
has
like
like,
grenades,
yeah,
smoke
barricades, like
grenades.
different looking barricades and ladders and stuff like that.
Yo,
And
some of these
I've
look like buried landmines.
yeah,
That's
I'm trying to
cool.
find the picture. I can't find it right now, but it just
It's like
sounds,
towards the bottom of the Warcom article. But it's cool that it's not just barricades anymore. I mean, like I've played you a lot, and like in a lot of our games, Shane, like you'll just take your second barricade and you just like throw it in the back of your deployment zone and don't even use it.
yeah.
So I'm happy that there's some variety
And I
with like
wonder
the
how they're gonna
pregame
do.
stuff.
Yeah, and the fact they're baking it into equipment, I wonder how that's gonna work with like, is there still gonna be faction equipment? And is it gonna be points based, or is it like how are we doing this?
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Obviously the measurement tool that comes in this box set, uh, it has the numbers printed on them, so it's the
Yeah.
original design. You have an 8-inch ruler, and you have a the same four-sided measurement tool, but these have the number of inches printed on them, not the shapes. Thank goodness for that.
Yeah.
Um,
No more shapes, it sounds like. I think the shapes are gone.
Gosh, thank the Emperor, thank the Dark Gods. And then we have it looks like a couple token sheets along with the approved ops card pack 2024. I don't think they don't really talk about the contents of that card pack, but it would probably be safe to assume primary missions, some sort of like secondary like tac ops,
Hmm.
uh some other rules, deployment layouts, stuff like that. All I would imagine they would all be focused around Hivestorm terrain. Um, and then Shane, you noticed something interesting about these token sheets regarding the amount of objectives on them.
Yeah, it looks like there's only 3 objectives. And I'm not the first person to notice this. Some people have been talking about it. Like there's more than 3 objectives on the punch out, but they're all numbered 1, 2, or 3.
Mm-hmm.
And there's like 3 that are different colors and stuff, I think, from the look of it. Or maybe
I
it's just the
I
other
think
side.
there's 2 sheets in the box, but they're double sided, so they're just showing the
Gotcha.
other side.
Yeah, so I don't know. Maybe it's a situation with like there's gonna be, because he said there's a new crit ops pack, basically, a new approved ops,
Yep.
whatever.
Yep.
And maybe this could mean like we have a brand new like style of primary, which would involve less objectives. Which, hey, as an elite player, I think less objectives sounds great. I think
Yeah.
6 objectives has always been a little bit much. Um, and I think it's really interesting to like theorize how that would change things.
Yeah, I mean, most elite players are probably used to turn one going down, 2-4 on primary. So if there's only 3 objectives, on these tables, you're able to concentrate your models in those, high traffic areas, I guess we'll call them.
Yeah.
I think that would help out elite teams, hopefully.
Yeah. That would be really nice. I mean, that's one of my, I've said every time somebody asks me, like, what's my wish list for a new edition, I've said basically, like, just in different ways, make elites work.
Yeah, yeah.
I like elite teams. I always have liked elite teams, so it would be cool to see that sort of realized a little
Hmm.
bit. And I think 3 objectives is maybe a step in the right direction, I guess.
Hmm. So that is all the contents from the box that they obviously have a core book, and then the Hivestorm Dossier, which is going to be like the physical rule book for both of the teams, I assume. Contains all the rules you need for using the two teams, wealth of missions, universal equipment rules, and background lore for both teams. The wider war on Vulcus. Da, 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 da. And then they're going to be available separately. Oh, there's going to be a hardback version available at a
Ooh,
later date. That's cool.
that's actually sick. I
Yeah,
don't think we've ever had that.
yeah. Yeah, there's never been a kill team like hardcover. Hivestorm Dossier can only be found inside the Hivestorm box, but I mean, like they say, there is going to be the team rules available for free online.
Yeah, that's huge, honestly.
Yeah, that makes this game so much more accessible,
Yeah.
and this
And it sounds
already
like,
being like one of, if not the most accessible, like Games Workshop game, I think that's only good.
yeah, and not only are they making it more accessible in terms of literal accessibility of the rules, but it sounds like they're making the rules a little easier to understand, maybe. I think based on the way he talked about it, like they want to make it easier for new players to like grasp it. And
Hmm.
I think getting rid of the shapes is probably a part of that, if I had to guess, because a lot of people see the shapes and they're just like, "What? This is
Yeah,
weird."
yeah. I mean, we were we were complaining about the shape since before the last edition even came out when they were previewing it.
Yeah, I
Uh,
mean, I was talking to some people at the tournament this past weekend,
hmm.
and I obviously we don't know anything about this yet, but I really hope that they change the way line of sight works. Um, because after 3 years, I get how line of sight works, but I still haven't figured out a way to explain it in a way that makes sense to a new player. And
Yeah,
that's a problem. Like
yeah.
I actually get it. I know how it works. I don't have to like think hard about it at this point. But if I'm teaching somebody, I don't know how to present it and how to like lay it out in a way that's graspable. And maybe that's me being a bad teacher, but I don't think these rules are very like easy to grasp. So I would like to see that change too. And if that's like the top of everybody's list from the sound of it.
Yeah.
So I wouldn't be surprised if that's something that got changed too.
Yeah, I'm in the same position with you. The only reason that I'm able to understand line of sight rules in this game is simply from repetition in tournament games.
Yeah.
Like it's not even, oh, I get it now. It just like became, oh, I there was no grand realization. It just like happened one day during a tournament game. Like
Yeah. It's very
which after
unintuitive.
after 3 years of playing tournament games, like and towards the latter part of those 3 years, getting everything like down is kind of crazy. But yeah, so that's everything in the box. It's pretty much everything else that we know at this point.
Yeah, I don't think we're forgetting anything. I think that's all the info that we have.
Yeah, we might be forgetting something that they talk about in like the preview show, but obviously if you have not watched that, I recommend you go and watch that as well because I think they did a good
Yeah.
job.
Oh, there was scouting looks like it changed a little bit, which is kind of
Yeah.
interesting. They like there's a screenshot that where you could see some of the scouting cards and it's different. Like one is not barricade anymore, it's equip and it says you get an additional equipment piece.
Okay, that
Two
makes
is not
sense.
infiltrate. Two now is you get a free strategic play on turn one, I think. Maybe it's
Okay.
not turn one, but it does say you get a free strategic play. And then three It says reposition, but I can't read the words on it. It could be like a dash, basically. Maybe it could be the same. Maybe it's something different, but it sounds like it's in the spirit of that, where you get a move, basically.
Mm-hmm.
Um, Pretty interesting. I mean, it sounds like just a lot of our game is going to be very different, and I'm excited for it. I welcome change, so it should be cool.
Yeah. Well, all right, Shane, do we have any final thoughts, I guess, for this episode?
I don't think so. I think I'm just excited, and I'm I want to I'm going to Nova in 2 weeks, which is crazy to think about.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm focusing on the current game as it is. But then after that, I'm like really excited to just dive into this, and hopefully we get more info in the coming weeks.
Mm-hmm. I'm sure we will, especially at Nova. They might be talking about or like showing off new stuff there. Is there a GW preview show scheduled for Nova?
I don't know. Maybe
Let me look it up.
that would be nice.
I don't think so. I just did a quick Google search. I only see stuff for Warhammer Preview 2023. I'd be surprised if they don't have one. But yeah, guys, that's all that we've got for you today. A lot of hype around this new box. I'm so excited. I just want it in hand already. That way I can build it and play this new edition. It looks awesome. Shane, what's your favorite model from this new box?
Oh, that's a tough one. Um, let me look at the pictures again. It's got to be one of the Vespids. I just need to look at them. I'm tempted to say the guy with the flamer, or maybe it's not. I think it's a flamer. He's holding it with two hands. You know what I'm talking
It
about?
looks like a flamer. Yeah, the Sky Blast.
That might be my favorite guy. If
Yeah.
not him, the Vespid with the rail rifle is pretty sick.
Yeah, the long
Um,
sting.
I'll say I'm gonna build all my Vespids with the masks. I think it looks cooler
Yeah.
than the bug faces. Maybe that's just me.
Probably easier to paint too, maybe.
Yeah, probably.
I don't know. I love their faces. I think they literally all look the same, so maybe it doesn't add personality to them, but
Yeah.
I think
To me, it's the only thing I've ever liked about the Tau is I thought their masks look cool, their helmets.
that's
Everything else I
valid.
hate. So it's if I can get some cool bug guys with cool Tau masks, then I'm into it.
Yeah, I think my favorite, it's tough for me. It's either the gunfighter or the precursor or the servo sentry, honestly. I think the servo sentry is sick. I hope that model's easy to magnetize because it looks like
Oh,
it
with the
comes
little
with three
skull.
options. You can give it a grenade launcher, a flamer, which also I hope flamers are good this edition.
Oh, that would be nice. I
Yeah.
think flamers were an abject failure.
Yes.
Um, I do like the sergeant or the tempester, or whatever, with his
Yeah.
beret. I think that's actually a really sleek looking model.
Yeah. Yeah, it's an awesome pose. All the gunfighter, his base specifically is such a cool pose too.
Yeah, I'm looking at him right now. That's pretty sick,
I
actually. Maybe
yeah,
that's my
I
favorite
think
guy.
he's the standout for me. This is all Django Fett's fault.
Yeah,
Yeah.
that guy really is like a Django Fett. I mean, he's got
Dude,
double pistols and a jump pack.
yeah.
Wow.
Whatever. I'm not gonna give him the helmet. I don't think though. With the helmet, he looks like way too much like all of the other gunner and standard troopers.
Yeah.
I gotta give him the bare face.
Oh, I just want this box, Ryan. I'm
Yep.
really excited for this
Me
box.
too. All right. Thank you guys so much for tuning into this episode of the Command Point Podcast. If you have not already, make sure to like, comment, and subscribe if you're watching us on YouTube. If you are listening to this on Spotify or some other podcasting app, make sure to follow us on that, and also to come over to YouTube and subscribe over there as well, because we actually are not getting any ad revenue or anything from Spotify anymore. Thank you, Spotify, for having a minimum listenership requirement. We also have a Patreon if you want to support us over there, where Shane has been uploading some, I guess, TTS tournament and tournament prep games, so high level competitive play. going on over there for those of you who are interested, and that's available at the $6 Weird Boy tier. Thank you guys all so much for watching, and we'll see you all again in the next one.